I've already had lunch, so I don't know how hungry I am. So anyway, in 1908, Sam and Jenny Kelly, or she was a Kelly, and their son Irvin, which a lot of people know him as Happy, came to Crook County and started their life in Wyoming. They had a homestead about 3 miles south of the tower. And it's just up over here, and it was this side of which is the white place now. And Sam did carpenter work for people around the area. That helped him make a living. And Raymond Lee, who was the second son, was born in 1910. My dad, Eric, was born in 1916. And he was born up here on their place, just south of the tower. Sam continued to work for people around the tower. And then when my dad was 11 years old, his mother passed away of apparent brain tumor. Eric and his dad stayed and worked for people around the area. And Happy, their oldest son, married Clara, Bobby Willie, we call her Aunt Bobby. They had 3 sons, John, Melvin, and Dee. And they were all hearing impaired. And they all did quite well for themselves with this handicap. And you never had anything to feel sorry about for them because they wanted to make their own way, their way. And they had a little place south of the tower that was Aunt Bobby and Happy just down here. What's the corner called?
It's the place where
Kent Nyman lives there now. The boys attended deaf school in Colorado Springs, and that's where John came back, but the other 2 stayed down there and made their living. And Lee married Marie Shiflett. Lee worked on various ranches. And then Lee and Marie and Eric went to Carpenter, Wyoming, and that's where my dad went to 2 years of high school as a carpenter. They moved back to the tower and later to Sundance. Lee and Marie had 4 children, Jenny, Lois, Bill, and Doris, who attended and graduated from Sundance High School. And Doris is here, whether she wants to admit it or not. She doesn't even talk. She won't even raise her hand or stand up. So. And I never did pick on her, so I mean, that's probably a problem. And then when Eric was old enough, my dad just started working for other ranches around the area, including Driscoll's and the Bush Ranch, which is east of Sundance. Eric married Marion Mankey in 1942. Eric worked for several ranches throughout the area. Rick was born in 1945. My folks bought the Mankey place in 1947. My mom was born and raised in that ranch. And I was born in 1951, and my grandpa passed away 3 months later. I went to 2 years of country school and attended in Moorcroft and graduated in 1969. I stayed and worked on the place, helping with the livestock and haying. I started raising sheep as a means of having some money. My flock of sheep was started from bum lambs given to me from Gracie's Evershide and Netta's Evershide. So in 5 years I had a flock of 125 head. And I married Joyce Strong in 1971 in Upton. I worked for American Colloid. I worked on the right shift. I could work for Wallace May, and that's where I kept and run my 100 head of sheep on his place. I sold them in the fall of '72. I worked at American Colloid for 3 years, stripped midnight, built roads, and worked in the timber for 5 years before I started my own construction business, which I am still in business as today. And I found out one thing, that they won't let you retire until you sell your equipment. Joyce and I have 3 children, Carla, Kelly, and Cassie. Kelly and Cassie are here today. One of them sitting over there. There's Kelly right there. So Joyce taught school at the Weston County School District for number 7 for 42 years. 3 years as a first grade, as a substitute for 3 years, And she started the kindergarten program and taught for 36 years. And she, when you know, you always hear these stories about how hard it is to get Social Security. So she called up Sheridan. 10 or 15 minutes, she was done, and the lady up there goes, "You mean you only worked for one person all your life?" That was the school district. Joyce had the privilege of teaching next door to her daughter Cassie, who taught first grade at that time and is still teaching first grade. Carla lives in Bellingham, Washington, and she is the HRM for Fred Myers. One time she told me she has 700 and some people working under her. So you talk about having a headache in this day and world. She has 3 children, Elijah, Sydney, and Chloe. Kelly lives in Casper, Wyoming. He had 2 daughters, Cece and Emma. Kelly has his own business. I will let you guess what his name of his business is. Happy to do it. He does lots of remodeling, etc. Cassie married Nick White, have 2 boys, Trevin and Tevin. Yep, they're there. Nick builds houses, and Cassie started her 22nd year as the first grade teacher in Upton. So that gives you a little bit of the deal. And it says the lady was talking about what this happened down